So before the brand new season starts tomorrow, I figured I would bring you guys a treat, something that has been requested of me multiple times since its release. So in today's video, as you see from the title, we're going to be discussing the mathematically correct BRUINBEAR build. And let me just say, this pet has potential to dish out one of the highest DPS from any pet in the game right now. So stick around because you don't want to miss out on this build. It's gonna be disgustingly nasty. What is up, guys? MEOWER here, back with a brand new Call of Dragons video. So we're gonna be continuing our mathematically correct warped builds in collaboration with the ever so smart the professor to bring you the best results and the best mathematically proven builds for every single warped. Today we're gonna be discussing the broom bear, though keep in mind in the next couple of episodes we're gonna be breaking down the venomous lizard and the frost bear in order to finally finish the discussion on which is the superior warped for infantry. No, we're not going to be bringing the striper in there because striper is trash, okay? It doesn't need to explain. It's self-explanatory. Striper sucks. Don't use it. But anyway, we're going to settle this debate once and for all. But before we start diving into the build, I want you guys to not forget to drop a like and not forget to subscribe because it really helps out the channel. It helps keeps us both going as it in a way directly or indirectly supports us both and gives us further motivation to keep pumping out content and helping you guys in the end. So that being said, let's dive into the spreadsheet, or rather let's dive into the document and see what build we're gonna have for you guys today. So right off the bat, the Broom Bear Calculated Pet Guide is made by the professor, of course. We're going to have our base for skills that we're going to be using, but there are some stuff that I want you guys to keep in mind when it comes to this pet, especially because it has a different mechanic than normal pets. But first, let me just explain its talent real quick before I dive into the builds. It reads as follows: It's the quickening. It gains charged. Each counterattack against an enemy legion inflicts one stack of barbed mark, maximum of 3 stacks. Next time the hero casts a rage skill, they deal damage up to 5. Surrounding enemies carrying barbed mark and clears all the stack of bar marks from those enemies. So, few things to keep in mind. One, it deals full damage per target, it's not diffused. Two, it has to be legions closer to your legion. Three, it has amazing synergies with Goresh and Skogul. So keep in mind that the marches that we tested this Warpet with was Goresh Skogul and, of course, Madeline Garwood. However, I wouldn't recommend you use this with Eliana because Eliana kind of bugs out. It has a buggy interaction with the Broom Bear. I'll explain more in the video a bit forward, but just keep in mind, in case I forget to explain it, that don't use this pet with Eliana. Primarily try to use it with Goresh Skogul. So that out of the way, let's dive into the build. We have our base for this pet, which is going to be the passive skill, the quickening, counter strike, Wild, Counter Strike, and Tooth and Claw. If you don't know what Tooth and Claw does, this if you or you can already guess, the build will be more tailored towards augmenting the Warped damage more than augmenting our March itself. So Tooth and Claw increases the damage dealt, physical damage dealt by all Warped skills, including Quickening, Counter Strike, and Wild Counter Strike, giving us a net total of 274 damage per person per round. That's right, you heard this right. This is per person around you. You can multiply this by 5 and multiply this by 5 again for a maximum damage for 5 targets and 5. And each of those 5 targets receive that maximum amount of damage, which is absolutely crazy, all things considered. It's like a mini nuclear bomb walking around, just nuking people left and right. So do keep that in mind. The next up, we have two build paths for this pet. As usual, I'm going to be breaking down the build paths and then I'm going to be showing you the big one and just explaining more tips further on. So we have this build, which is based around the Terrible Quickening, and the Fatal Bite. So when we're building around the Terrible Quickening, we're going to be going for Quickening, Counter-Strike, Wild Counter-Strike, Tooth and Claw, Forceful Quickening, Terrible Quickening, Fierce Attack, and Blood Roar, giving us a net total of 489 damage, of course, where we can see here where the damage is coming from. Most of it is coming from the Quickening, and you can multiply this by 5 for a total of almost 1.7k damage dealt in total across 5 targets, which is pretty insane, all things considered. Like, that's absolutely disgusting, not gonna lie. So, this pet's potential just keeps going up and up. And of course, the better stats you have, the more damage it's gonna deal. So, absolutely insane, just crazy damage, crazy everything. And Counter Strike synergizes so well with Quickening because it just keep proccing whenever you're hit and you're dealing counterattack. So the damage potential is through the charts with this pet. The second build we're going to be discussing, which is Fatal Bite, which is slightly weaker than Terrible Quickening, though of course Terrible Quickening is an end of season reward skill that you can buy, so be sure to select your end of season reward skills correctly, especially with a brand new season starting tomorrow, so you can plan your builds correctly. For Fatal Bite, we're going to be going Quickening, Counter Strike, Wild Counter Strike, Tooth and Claw, Blood Roar, Fatal Bite, and of course Forceful Quickening and Angry Roar, giving us a net total of 406. Of course, it's a massive downgrade for both Quickening and the lack of presence for Fierce Attack, but while Counter Strike is performing much better than its counterpart in this build because we have Blood Roar and Angry Roar, while here we only have Blood Roar, so of course it's going to be performing much better. For the no season reward build, it's, of course, an even more downgrade. We have here Quickening, Counter Strike, Wild Counter Strike, Tooth and Claw, Forceful Quickening, Fierce Attack, Blood Roar, Angry Roar, and of course we can supplement in there Bristols in case you don't have anything that can fit the builds here. You can supplement in there Bristols, and it will serve you just fine till you can swap it out afterwards. But the build we've all been waiting for, which is gonna be the big one. For the big one, this of course keeps in mind that it's the perfect BRUINBEAR with 8 skill slots and maximum attributes for the 3 we're going to be centering around. It goes as follows: Quickening, Counter Strike, Wild Counter Strike, Tooth and Claw, Forceful Quickening, Terrible Quickening, Fatal Bite, and Blood Roar, giving us a net total of 628 per person. So if we get out that calculator right here, and whoops, that's not, so we go times 5. That is a total of, you're dishing out a total of 3,140 damage from just your war pet per turn every time this procs. I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty disgustingly broken, not gonna lie. I don't think we've seen any pet dish out this amount of damage, and this is per single target, of course, so it doesn't deal diffuse damage. So I don't know. Is this the most disgustingly broken pet out there? And it's not even a full 3-star build. It has potential to improve as you upgrade the skill stars on your skills. So, not gonna lie, this seems pretty disgusting actually, and it might push me to build this as soon as I awaken my Skogul and my Goresh. Like, what? What is this pet? Hello, Farlight? Nerf it maybe? Sounds pretty disgusting, not gonna lie. As for as for disclaimer here, we've seen that the damage potential for the broom build varies widely. There are a lot of variables and moving parts inside these mechanics. I haven't gone with the average approach. Of course, this is an average conservative approach. The perfect broom bear build peaks at 908 damage per second. It's like you're running 3 commanders in your march. And even so, 908 is almost at one of the higher tiers of damage. That's almost a legendary commander rage skill damage territory. So that's pretty insane actually when you have all things considered. So again, pretty OP stuff, and definitely a big consideration for you to finalize your decision. However, do keep in mind we will have a comparison between the frost bear, the broom bear, and the venomous lizard to settle the debate on which is the superior war pet for infantry. You can see here the strategy here he's mentioned is that if you pair with Skogul, your quickening will deal 66% more damage with Skogul than a different hero, and not to pair it with Eliana. If you face tag the enemy infantry head on, then it's likely that your damage can only reach that infantry unit. You need to go through a flank and go deep, so go deep so you can get the most value. Enemies need to be targeting you or another ally with Broom Bear in order to build up stacks. If you aren't being targeted, Broom Bear can't deal damage. Also, if people are targeting a different ally tank, then they are also not building stacks. So you need to be the one that's focused. So you have to be the engager. That is why it's perfect to pair this pet you're running with the Spiridon Toric because it will give you a 5-second taunt, giving you just enough time, and from 5 targets, giving you perfect amount of time, a perfect amount of turns for you to build up your stacks and start unleashing them. So definitely worth checking out. And of course, as soon as you get hit by more people, your rage cycle quicker, so your broom bear hits its rage talent quicker as well, and it just creates a loop that you just deal so much damage over time. It's just disgusting, actually. Not gonna lie, this is pretty nasty. However, don't use this pet with range units because it's not gonna work as it has a range limitation. So it will not be working with your archers. So be sure, of course, to subscribe because we're going to have the comparisons come out soon. And this is just some notes. I will leave the link to the remainder of the document if you want to check it out. And of course, the Warped folder in it in the description as well. Or you can just join the Discord. The link will also be in the description, and you can read the rest of the stuff here and you can check out the calculations down there. It's good for you to learn if you're into that stuff. Personally, I'm not a numbers guy, so I can't really understand the full potential here. So I just trust his word for it. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about this pet. Personally, I didn't think it would be this disgusting, actually. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on it and be sure to nuke any march or make sure it stays far away from me if it has this pet. But on that note, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned a thing or two. And if you did, please be sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Join Discord, the link is in the description. And on that note, have a wonderful day and I will see you in the next video. Meow meow.